sniper's next mission could be his last.
During the Iraq War, Fallujah became an epic scenario where one of the most brutal confrontations of the entire conflict took place. Among its protagonists was a group of Marine snipers who had to face a particular mission: hunt down a skilled and elusive sniper.
It's not a very good feeling, you know, you got the crosshairs on your ass. If you screw up, somebody's gonna die.
The temperance of these hardened Marines turned them into infallible and precise killing machines. Trained to remain hidden and silent for weeks on end, they were prepared to overcome all kinds of adversities. From hand-to-hand combat to a raid with more than 300 soldiers, their most lethal weapons, millimetric precision in shooting, and a unique ability to become invisible. Long-range rifles, elusive targets, and sleepless nights turned this confrontation into one of the most epic of the war in Iraq, and the group of snipers into true heroes. Join us to learn about the brutal attack they had to face and the spectacular feat they carried out to try to survive.
Sniper versus sniper is a deadly game, no matter how you slice it. Knowing that there's somebody out there that's trained the way you are, that understands how you're likely to shoot, move, and communicate is going to be your deadliest threat.
Fallujah, a city west of Baghdad, had become an insurgent stronghold after the 2003 occupation of Iraq by the United States, its main invader. The first battle there was an attempt by the United States to retake the city, but it ultimately ended in a rebel victory, transforming it into a dangerous base for 4,000 insurgents. Recognizing the strategic importance of Fallujah, which is located on a vital route connecting Baghdad with Iraq and Syria, the US military meticulously planned a second assault, a rematch that became known as Operation Phantom Fury. This was a major mission carried out by the coalition of US, British, and Iraqi forces between November and December 2004. All three armies faced strong resistance from organized civilian fighters. Special operations forces stood out in the battle, but of this famous group, there was one whose performance was essential to achieving victory. Uncle Sam's Sniper Squad, selected for its ability to shoot at long distances and operate in urban environments. The dusty, desolate streets of Fallujah already had a reputation for being dangerous when the sniper group arrived in the city. However, it was not until the operation began that they were able to see the true meaning of these words. It was only necessary to set foot in enemy territory for things to get truly dangerous. The squad was led by Marine Sergeant Byron Hancock, whose experience was of great help amid the extreme conditions. On November 5th, Hancock and his team learned that an assault would be carried out in Fallujah, with the specific objective of pushing the insurgents south of the city and taking a school that would serve as a base. That day, the arrival did not go as expected. As soon as they arrived at the place, the convoy was attacked by the rebels who were concentrated there.
One thing I found out is that whenever they realize there are snipers in the area, they really want to take you out because you're a threat to them. If you screwed up, somebody's going to die.
The sniper, Sergeant Byron Hancock, US Marine Corps. The hunting ground, hit Iraq. The mission, counter-sniper operations.
By then, all the civilians had come out to meet them, so crossing the Euphrates to enter the city and finally reach the school where they had to take refuge meant facing the terrible attack of these armed groups. The fight lasted all night, and they finally managed to disperse the enemy. In Hancock's own words, the first week of the operation was the most intense due to the continuous attacks they experienced from the insurgents. Then things calmed down a bit, but that would not last long. During the weeks that the conflict lasted as they advanced through the streets, Hancock and his team witnessed scenes of destruction and desolation that they had rarely seen. The fighting was intense. Every movement required extreme caution and constant communication. However, things got even worse for the squad when the circumstances of the war led them to face an elusive sniper who had escaped them months earlier and hit another of the cities in Iraq that experienced insurgent attacks. There, the Marine team's mission had been to find and eliminate a group of insurgent snipers, but the task was not very easy. Hancock mentioned that on that occasion, he realized that the rebels could easily identify their presence in the area, a situation that made any action they wanted to undertake dangerous. Upon arrival, the group of snipers found an unexpected situation. The situation was even more complicated than they had anticipated. The rebels had taken the city, and the group reached about 300 men, which forced the squad to immediately rethink its strategy. They established more distant firing positions from outside the city, approximately 1,000 meters away. The maximum range limit of their M40A3 rifles, designed for circumstances like these, with an initial velocity of 2,550 feet per second and a range of 800 meters, thus achieving tight precision and a powerful impact. From these positions, they would try to locate the snipers, avoiding being attacked by the insurgents.
We knew there were insurgents inside the city, and they unloaded on us. RPGs, machine guns, mortars, the whole 9 yards.
In a short time, Hancock and the other snipers, hidden from their positions and attacking the enemy group one by one with extreme precision, forced the insurgents to retreat into the city and thus cleared the terrain. The situation was now calmer. From their positions, they were no longer in danger. The time had come to locate the snipers they had gone to look for and end the mission. But this apparent calm was only momentary. 2 new enemies were advancing through the territory, hunting their prey.
We made our adjustments and we started hitting. The first guy was about 960 yards, took the shot, and hit him in the stomach area. He went to the ground, crawled around a corner. At 1,000 yards, it doesn't look like the movies, where it blows them down. You can tell when you hit them, though. They don't agree with that round too much.
When the mission finally seemed to be over, something told them otherwise. A bullet hit near their position. The shot came from a sniper who had remained hidden all this time. Suddenly, a new threat appeared on the ground, and eliminating it was the only alternative to stay safe.
We were sitting there for about 2 hours, and the shot rings out again out of nowhere. Boom! Wow! Well, this time the round's a little closer. 2 hours later, boom! Again, this time, pow! Shot over the top of us. I said, oh, he's walking in on us. I had an idea that this guy had some kind of training because we couldn't find him for one. 2, he was shooting from different locations, so obviously he was moving.
For several hours, the Marines remained in their trenches, studying the sniper's modus operandi. Given his elusive behavior and the precision of his attacks, they were clearly facing a highly skilled enemy. The sniper attacked them from different locations, which gave a clue that he was still on the move. The group then organized rounds of shooting in different areas where they thought the enemy might be hiding, but they did not receive any more counterattacks. Thus ended the first encounter with the sniper, but it would not be the last because they would soon face each other again.
Of course, after that, we left and went to Fallujah. So knowing he's out there and not being able to get him was really, really frustrating.
After hit, the squad was sent to Fallujah where they continued their mission on the streets, but something in Hancock had awakened that afternoon when the sniper slipped away before his eyes, a concern that kept him from resting. A few months passed and the battle continued. Suddenly, a new transfer order would give him a second chance. He and his team were sent back to the city of Hit.
Came in to hit the second time. We got called over radio and they told us that the insurgents know that Marine snipers are in the city and they're coming after you and they're going to try to kill you. That was the words, the exact word. I was like, oh, I said, all right, come on. See what you got.
That call was confirmation that they had to confront the enemy and eliminate him before he finished them off. Intelligence services confirmed that a sniper trained in Syria had crossed the border and was operating in the city. Hancock, upon seeing the investigation images, immediately recognized the subject. It was the same one who had slipped away before his very eyes months before. Perhaps by chance, or perhaps as part of the enemy's plan, the sniper seemed to be following their steps. At that moment, they learned that he had killed a couple of Marines on the outskirts of the city and that people were terrified by his presence. The man had gained a reputation for shooting randomly in the streets, for no reason, and in this way, he had managed to control the city on his own. Once in place and after a brief calm, new shots gave the squad the signal to act.
And it wasn't long after that. Everything got quiet in the city, and then heard that one round. Somebody almost got hit. I got a call saying, find him and kill him.
Hancock entered the town, intending to take out the enemy sniper. After identifying possible areas where he could hide, they confirmed that he was located in a perimeter close to them, which meant that at some point he would attack them. Hancock's strategy was to find a position that would allow them to stay close to the enemy without being too exposed. To do this, he decided to stay where the infantry was. The rest was to wait for the enemy to make the first move.
In counter-sniper operations, that's what you want them to do, is shoot at you. Because that's the best way to find them. Because if they're good, you'll never see them until they shoot. You just try to get them to screw up. So I just set up on top of a building and just kind of got right on the edge. I had an idea of where he was just by doing a terrain study and just trying to pick out possible hides.
Hancock's strategy was to trick the sniper into making the mistake of attacking and then use the shots to gauge his distance and location. The Marine and his partner, Corporal Delano, took turns watching the area 24 hours a day. The idea was to understand the movements in the area and thus perhaps gain some information about possible locations.
Me and Delano had been running shifts, watching that area around the clock. When that's going on, you're trying to figure out where he's at. If I was a sniper and I was on the other side, what would I do? Where would I hide? Where would I shoot from? That's where you start looking.
Suddenly, Hancock identified a possible hiding place where the enemy sniper could be found and immediately informed his partner. It was a pile of rubble just above a distant hill. Hancock sensed that from that location, any false move could leave them exposed to attack, and he was not wrong. At that moment, Delano was making a tour of the place with his scope, and the impact of a bullet on the cement that grazed his body alerted them.
I told Delano, I said, he's out there. I said, don't stick your head up too freaking high because you might catch a round. As soon as I sat down, you hear that round hit the wall. Wham! Delano was like, what's that? What was that? I said, hell, he's shooting at you. But when he did that, that's where he screwed up, because he took a shot at us.
But what seemed like a bad sign suddenly turned out to be an important clue that both had been waiting for, a crucial piece of information to confront the enemy. As soon as the bullet hit the wall, Hancock started counting. This is part of a very common technique among snipers to estimate distances, known as crack thump. The crack is the sound of the bullet traveling after the shot. The thump corresponds to the actual explosion of the rifle. The time elapsed between one and the other reveals the distance between the shooter and his target.
And I just started counting 1001, 1002. And when I got to 1002, I heard the report of the rifle, and that basically told me he was about 600 yards away. Every second, it's roughly 300 yards. That was his first mistake, shooting at Delano.
Thanks to these shots, Hancock was able to estimate the distance of his enemy and thus identify the area where he was hiding. With this information, he proceeded to request an airstrike. But the request was denied due to the possibility of this causing collateral damage and consequently, the death of innocent civilians. It was then that the sergeant managed to see the sniper leave his hiding place and stealthily move away. From his position, he could not shoot him at that moment, since the man was moving at full speed. But quickly, based on their own calculations and the brief sighting of the sniper, Hancock and Delano calculated possible areas where the enemy could hide, all within an approximate range of 550 meters from where they were. In this way, they began to record in a data book the distances for each reference point from where the sniper could reach them with his weapon. Hancock suspected that the enemy might be hiding behind a pile of rubble, so he measured the distance to there, adjusted his gaze, and, determined, remained alert in the place, certain that his opponent would make an appearance at some point. Hope was key to the outcome of the mission. According to the log that the Marines had kept in their book, they were able to establish a pattern of behavior of the enemy sniper.
The enemy sniper, what he would do was he would shoot early in the mornings and he'd shoot late in the evening. He established a pattern of doing that. He shot from the same location instead of moving around. That's where he screwed up.
The next day, Hancock was on the roof, aiming his gun for any sign. He hoped the man would make a mistake and return to his hiding place. He knew very well that he was somewhere in the area he and Delano had marked out. So, he continued scanning the terrain with his scope, and the signal was not long in coming. Suddenly, Hancock detected a flash. It was the enemy sniper's scope, and at that moment, he knew he had found him. He had to act, and quickly. Failing at that moment would mean being dead.
When I saw that glint, I was like, I got you, I got you. I dropped my binos, grabbed my rifle, threw it up on the wall. There was an initial rush, and then settle down. Concentrate on your breathing, trigger control, side alignment, side picture. Focusing on the crosshairs, not focusing on him as a target. And as soon as I picked up my rifle and threw it up on the wall, he fired. Boom! I mean, it was like that quick. He fired, I fired. He didn't even move from his position. It was like, got it, good.
Just 2 shots, one from each side in a fraction of a second, and the result was imminent. The insurgent sniper was dead. The bullet hit him directly in the head. Silence took over the place, and at that moment, Hancock knew that he had gotten rid of his hunter, and with this ending, he had also freed the entire city from months of terror.
His last mistake was showing up in the first place. The best way to kill a sniper is with another sniper.
Hancock's brave feat is remembered as a mythical feat, which will go down in history. Finally, after weeks of intense fighting, on December 23, 2004, the coalition managed to secure Fallujah, but the cost of the brutal confrontation was too high, with an unexpected number of casualties on both sides and hundreds of buildings and houses destroyed. During Operation Phantom Fury, the intensity of the fighting was unlike anything seen before. The coalition suffered a total of 107 dead and 613 wounded, while estimates of rebel casualties range from 1,200 to 1,500. Further attacks followed the November clashes, through which the insurgents managed to gradually increase their strength in the area. Subsequent military operations failed to displace or control the rebel groups, and by September 2006, almost the entire region, with the exception of Fallujah, was under their control. The second battle in this city not only tested the physical limits of the Marines, but also their mental and emotional resilience. Understanding the facts of the operation is crucial to appreciate the magnitude of the sacrifices made by this group of men, especially the snipers, who knew how to handle the unfavorable conditions and transform them into a victory. That is why they are considered true heroes today. With this closing, we say goodbye. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.